Have you ever wondered what it might be like not having to rely on Microsoft's Windows or even Apple's macOS? In this video, I'm going to take a dive into Linux Mint to see what it's like on the other side of the world where you're not running either of those two operating systems. Let me take you through the process step by step and we'll check it out together. So the first thing that we need to do is to download an installable copy of Linux Mint. So here I've got google.com and I'm just going to type in download Linux Mint, and the first result that comes up is the correct one. So we'll go ahead and click on download Linux Mint and the web page appears. So here you'll see they've got like different versions, the Cinnamon edition, the Mate edition, and it goes on and on, but I'm going to do the Cinnamon edition because it says it is the most popular version. So let's go with that. So click on the download button there and then scroll down and you'll see there's a whole bunch of download mirrors, and all we want to do is just pick one that's close to your geographic location and the file will start downloading. So when I click that, it's opened up my downloads folder and I'll click save. Now I'm in Google Chrome right now, so your browser may be a little bit different. And then here if we click at the top, we can watch as it downloads. I'll go ahead and fast forward this video as much as I can to respect your time and keep things short, but I look forward to playing with Linux Mint and see how it compares to the Windows environment. Just to answer the question, do we really have to put up with Windows and updates and all that Microsoft spying, and now they put an app store and they're trying to tie everybody to the Microsoft account? They're just making us crazy. So if it's possible to use an alternative operating system that does not have all those headaches, that might be interesting for a lot of people to see. So we're going to dig in. Great, it just finished downloading. So I'll click on Show All Downloads and Show in Folder. And what you'll see here is there's a 2.9 gigabyte file that's an ISO image. ISO images are basically the contents of a DVD or a CD that's stored into a single image file. You can then actually take that image file and burn a blank DVD-R or equivalent, or you can take the file and use a utility to add it to a bootable flash drive, or even attach it to a virtual machine and use it that way. So if you're in Windows and you would like to burn an actual disk of this image, you can right-click the file and then you'll see Burn Disk Image. And then let's say open, and then this program, the Windows Disk Image Burner, pops up and you can follow the instructions, insert your blank disk into the DVD drive and create the actual disk. I'm going to install this operating system on what's called a VMware virtual machine using VMware Player. It just allows me to simulate having a full-blown computer without having to actually have a separate box on the side. When you guys install this, you'll probably have a real computer with a blank hard drive, and it'll work just the same, just with its own independent hardware. So I'm going to go ahead and get VMware set up here real quick. Let's say I'll give it 3 processors, say 8 gigabytes of RAM. Let's do like a 24 gigabyte hard drive, and that'll be a great test environment for us. Okay, so when you boot up to the bootable DVD or the ISO file, it produces a menu similar to this here. So I do see that we want to do the first one that says Start Linux Mint 21.2 Cinnamon 64-bit. So I'll just use my up and down arrow keys and then I'll push enter for that one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and full screen this. There we go. Okay, start Linux Mint. Okay, there's our Linux Mint logo. Okay, I do have a Linux Mint desktop there, which is great. So again, this is the pre-installation environment. You can actually poke around in here, make sure that your computer likes it. You can pull up the menu system and everything, but this is not as of yet installed on your hard drive. So let's go ahead and perform the full installation. So we can do that by just clicking the Install Linux Mint icon on the top here. Okay, I see they have a little color wheel that spins around that lets us know it's busy working on it. Okay, and there's the installation screen. So we'll just continue mostly with just using the default. So English is good here. English US, that sounds good to me. And here's a question about installing multimedia codecs. Well, codecs are what allow you to watch videos in different formats, so I'll definitely do that. And you can see on the bottom it says preparing Ubuntu drivers, so this is actually a flavor of Ubuntu Linux. Okay, now installation type. Since this is a blank virtual machine, I'm okay with erasing the disk and installing Linux. Just realize if you're on a real computer with actual hardware and you have that hard drive installed, this actually can wipe out the drive. So make sure you don't have anything you need on there and you don't want your Windows that might be on the drive or any data or anything. If you're okay with that, you can choose erase disk and install Linux Mint and then just click the install button now. Okay, and write changes to disk, we'll say continue for that. And for time zone, it has me in the New York time zone, that looks right. Okay, and it wants to know my name, so I'll just type my first name in there, computer name, yeah, let's change that. Okay, username's fine. I think it makes you use a password, so we'll just put like 1234, just something easy. And require my password to log in, we'll leave that set to yes for security, and click continue. And it looks like it's installing. So this can take a long time. I'll fast forward again, and if you click this little arrow, it'll show you what's going on behind the scenes. Normally people just get this small little display, but I like to geek out and see what's really going on. So I'll go ahead and fast forward through here, and I'll see you at the other side. Okay, installation complete. So now it asks us if we want to continue testing in this environment or if we want to restart now to actually kick it off on our bootable drive that we freshly installed onto. So we'll click restart now. Okay, the system's restarting. There's the Linux Mint logo. Okay, it says remove installation medium. So if you still have the DVD in the drive, go ahead and take it out and then just click enter. Okay, and it starts to boot up. And there it is. I believe if I make a quick adjustment, I can get us full screen. So let me take my VM player out of full screen, put it back in full screen, and there we go. So we're at the login screen, and if you remember, I had my password just 1234. Hit enter, and this should show the Linux Mint Cinnamon Edition desktop. Okay, I'll go ahead and jump up there. There we go. Okay, and here's a welcome screen. Welcome to Linux Mint. You can go through all these tabs on the side and read some good things about it. I'll go ahead and just buzz through here real quick. Yeah, it talks about how to get around and change colors and drivers and updates. So they have full documentation available, help via the web forums and IRC chat, and then how to contribute to the developers. So let's just close that there. So here's the Linux Mint desktop screen. So it looks really nice and simple, meaning there's not a whole bunch of icons or actually any icons. On the bottom we have what looks like a Windows taskbar to compare it to Microsoft Windows operating systems. And then here in the far left corner we have a button where if we click it, it acts similar to what the Start menu in Windows does, and it gives you a way to find and access all of your utilities, tools, and programs that are on the computer. And then here we've got the files, which is similar to the Windows File Explorer. And actually it looks really similar. So we are in our user folder here. It has my username. And then I see desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, templates, videos. And then along the left column, the same and a few extra options. This definitely looks really familiar, so if you're trying to make the change from Windows to switch over to Linux Mint, that's something else you don't even have to learn. So it looks like I'm in my user folder, so if I click on that, yes, it says Home JSON. If I go back a level and click on Home, you could have other users on the computer and they would show up here, and I'm sure if they had a password on their files, it would ask for a password if you were to click on any of the other accounts. I did notice, kind of like Apple, Mac, if we click Go, you have a few extra places you can get outside the home user folder and say click on Computer. And then some of these are the virtual hard drives I'm running with my VMware virtual machine, but we'll just click on File System, and you can see here's a deeper level of the operating system, the root folder, the hard drive, and everything that's stored there. So that seems pretty darn familiar. So let's keep going. Down on the bottom I do see Firefox web browser. Well, that's exciting. So right out of the box this thing can open a modern browser and you can browse the web and even log into your Mozilla account, and all of your passwords and everything and bookmarks would flow right back in. One good thing to know is that there are companies that have Linux versions of their software, so you can actually download and install programs you're used to using made specifically for this Linux environment. The goal is if you can have everything that you use available in Linux, basically you load it up into this operating system, and then if you think about it, how's that really different from Windows? So let's say you used Google Chrome. So we'll type in Google Chrome download and see if we can actually put what is my favorite browser on this Linux system. So here I've got the search results. We'll click download now and see what comes up. Okay, it just says download Chrome, so it must already know what we have. I'll go ahead and do that. Yes, there it is, Ubuntu Debian 64-bit. So we'll accept and install that. And next thing you know it, the system will have our favorite Google Chrome running on it too. And we can do that for a bunch of other programs. So up here in the top is our little download counter. So we'll click on that. Wait for the download to complete. And we'll actually install it, and kind of we'll just try to set up this computer in a way like if I had to use it for the next month to run my life. Let's see if we can actually get that far with it. So we can click on the file and close the Firefox browser, and it looks like all we have to do is just click install package, and it wants the password to prove that we're someone that's allowed to install new software. So we'll put 1234 because that's what I chose earlier, and additional software has to be installed. Okay. Okay, so we're installed and ready. So now if I go back to that, what I'll call the start menu, and go to all applications, scroll down a little bit, look for Google Chrome. Okay, there it is. So when I go in here, what I'm expecting is a Chrome that looks nice and pretty, just like my desktop. So it gives you the option to make it your default browser. I usually don't automatically send usage statistics. Sometimes that takes a lot of CPU power away from older computers. I don't know why, but I always turn that off for that reason. And here we go. So we're in Google Chrome. Awesome. So then let's try something else. Let's do like a Google Pro Earth to see if we can get that program. So we'll just click on versions. Okay, the Pro Desktop, that sounds good. Now it doesn't say anything about Linux, but it's giving us download option, so I imagine they ported it. So here, we'll uncheck this here. Yes, Ubuntu. So great. So that's Chrome, Firefox, Earth, and I believe other programs like DropBox have been ported. A whole bunch of stuff. The VLC media player. Sometimes you just have to check it out for yourself, and you'd be surprised at what you actually can run on these Linux machines. So we'll click on this to open it and install package. Put the password in, and away it goes. While I wait, let's make this desktop a little more interesting. I'm going to right-click a blank spot and then change desktop background. And inside here you have a whole bunch of different themes and pictures. As you can see, there's some pretty cool ones in here too, very high resolution pictures. One I saw earlier that I liked is this right here called Path. And we'll just leave it at that. And let's see, okay, so we are installed for Google Earth. So let's try something different. Let's just type EARTH. It found it for us in the list so we didn't have to. And I'll go ahead and click here. Yep, and that's it. That's the Earth that I'm familiar with. We'll full screen it, don't show tips, and we'll just search for somewhere in my area, Lake Eola, Orlando, Florida. Okay, don't show again. There we go. Awesome. So if I want to create desktop icons for these programs, I can simply go into the menu system here, find what I'm looking for, let's say Chrome, and then right click it to get a menu, and then add the desktop. And then same thing, and I know you can pin them on the taskbar as well, but let's do Firefox, right click, add the desktop, Earth, right click, add the desktop. So this sure is looking like Microsoft Windows at this point, and we have our Windows compatible programs that we're running on Linux. That's really cool too. So Libre Office is actually pretty cool. It's a free open source program that allows you to open and save files such as Word docx files, Excel XLS and XLSX spreadsheets, PPT files or PPTX files for PowerPoint, and then you can have people, say that are in Mac and Windows, send you their Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files. You can open it with Libre Office for free, edit, make changes, and then send it back to them, and it's all compatible. So it's a free way to not have to buy the software. So at this point, you've got your operating system for free with the Linux Mint, and your Office software is free, and then we can load it up with tools and utilities. And what we're doing is we're building an environment that makes us scratch our head and say, why do we need Windows? So anyway, let's keep going here. So I'll open one of these up just to take a look. So Libre Writer, that's equivalent to Word, so we'll click on that. Now I don't have a file at the moment to test it out with, but as you can see, it looks similar, not exact, but similar to Word. So, you know, you have all your fonts and paragraphs, and you know, this is almost like the old style of Office where it used to have all these menus that would come down from the top. Actually, people prefer that, but it looks like it even does have the pictures, which if you point and don't move, then it tells you what that picture does. So a very, very functional version of a desktop document program. So we'll go ahead and close that out. Let's take a quick peek at Excel. Just that's one thing people also are gonna want to know, how good this would be, or could they use it to, you know, send files back and forth with their other workers that might be using it. But in here, if we go to, let's try to do a save or save as. So we choose save as, and it has its own file format. It looks like ODF or ODS for the open software. But if we click on the pull down at the bottom, yes, Excel 07-365. So we can open and save Office 365 files without needing Office 365. Awesome. And that's free. And then if we go back to the what I'll call the start menu, I'm not sure exactly what the proper name is for that. I do like what I see here. So I believe these are shortcuts to frequently used items, and here's Software Manager. So here, if we click on this icon, System Settings, this is like the Windows control panel. So I'll go ahead and full screen that. And just look how pretty that is. It's very complete. I do like the way the graphics and everything look in here. But just about everything you would need to adjust is right here. So another, why would you need Windows if it has all this built in? So we'll go ahead and check other things out. So let's take a detailed look here at the different things that are in there. So it looks like our standard calculator, disk volume manager, file manager, fonts, notes, graphics programs, internet browsers, and I do see that Google Chrome did pop into the internet browser section automatically. That's good. Office apps, sound, video, administration. It just looks amazing, to be honest with you. As for email, I did see that they had the Thunderbird email program on here. So if we just type that in there, Thunderbird Mail, I'm going to right click and say add the desktop, so we get a new shortcut. And let's go ahead and double click that. Of course, like any email program, we should be asked to provide a live active email account and password, and it'll verify that. So it looks like it did jump right into that. So I don't need to demo that, but it's nice to know that we've got a full-fledged email program that is at our disposal, and it's included with the operating system. So one thing I noticed, if we try to move an icon, it doesn't let us. It's keeping them snapped to the upper left corner. So there is a way to disable that. If we right-click the desktop and then choose Customize, up comes a window, and then you'll see Auto Arrange, and it's turned on. So if we uncheck that, now we can actually move things wherever we want to, and we're not limited at that. There's also things about snapping to the grid and a whole bunch of different settings you can adjust. And then if we click on Desktop Settings, we'll see what's in there. Oh, okay, so they actually have stock icons for computer. That'd be like my computer or this PC. So we could actually take that, put it in the upper left corner, just trying to create like a Windows environment look and feel. And then home would be like, I guess, in a way that'd be like the documents folder. There we go. Wasn't being too responsive, but it was just me. And then trash would be like recycle bin, mounted drives, show icons from missing monitors. That could be interesting. Great. So now that I've got these arranged, tell me how this is not like Windows. So we've got the computer, the trash, the home and documents folder, the browsers, the icons, the taskbar, the start menu. We can open and close Office documents, run modern browsers, store files, backup, just do about anything. And then if you right click the desktop, just like Windows, you have even display settings. That's where you can make changes to your screen, your resolution, your monitor, and if I had multiple monitors connected, we'd be able to do that as well. But this is just very, very complete. I am thoroughly impressed with this. So provided the programs that you need and use are available, you could really get away with dumping Microsoft Windows. Here's another idea we can check out. A lot of people use DropBox to keep their files synced between their computers and the cloud. And let's see if in Linux, if we can use DropBox on this system. So we'll go and do a Google search for DropBox download Linux. And okay, here's an install. It does mention Linux here. Let's click on it and see what we can find. Alright, there it is. So the Ubuntu 22.10 or higher. Basically, for this version of Linux, we'll pick one of these two and click on 64-bit, and then just follow the instructions to install it. And then all of your Dropbox files and everything that has to do with it will flow through to this Linux computer, just like it did on your Windows or your Mac. So that's really awesome. So let's continue on to look at a few last little things in the bottom right corner. So down here I've got the time. So if we double click that, it pulls up a calendar, and then it does have date and time settings, so we can make adjustments to how things are displayed in the time zone and 24-hour clock or 12-hour clock and things like that. Next we have a little speaker, which is similar to Windows. I see we can adjust the main volume or go to sound settings and we'll get a lot more information. So there's all kinds of changes we can make to it, volume adjustments, change where the input is coming from, microphones and such. Here's the system sounds and what it will use for each different type of reaction that Windows is going to give you and what the sound accompanying it will sound like. And applications, nothing in there. And then more settings, which it looks like that's just the master volume. So that's pretty cool. That's the basics of all you need. And here, this is a networking icon. So if you click on network settings, it basically will just tell you what you're connected to and allow you to make changes. So in this, let's say we want to do something a little more complex, like change our IP address. When we click on this, at the bottom you'll see there's a little cogwheel in the bottom right corner. So we'll click on that. And now we're changing the settings for the wired network adapter. And if I go to IPv4, I can scroll down a little bit and any of this information can be changed. So instead of automatic DHCP giving me an address, I can click here, put it on manual, and now we have an option to enter an actual address of our own, like a 192.168.1. whatever we want. So that's really quick and easy, so they make it simple to do. Here on the bottom left, you have the update program. So this is similar to Windows updates. It pulls up the update manager, and all you'd have to do is click on the refresh button, wait for it to get the latest greatest list of what updates are available for your computer, click select all, and then install updates. And it'll go out and get the latest bug fixes, enhancements, and security patches that'll keep you safe and keep everything up to date. All in all, I'm finding this Linux Mint operating system to be pretty darn good. I mean, coming from Windows, I can set it up and look and feel like I'm on a Windows system. I can run many of the same programs. I just have to download the Linux version of it, and I can browse the web and put browsers and programs and save files and open Word and Excel files without having to buy Word and Excel. That's cool. The mail system's in there. I mean, this is a viable alternative. So hopefully you've enjoyed my little tour of what I've showed you here. I am thoroughly impressed by that, and hopefully you see some value in it too. If you really enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and give my video a like, as I do want to keep creating more videos in the future. My channel's growing, and you guys are great for making it to the end of this video. You all are my true subscribers. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, join me, and I'll keep on making them. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.